And Karen McArthur is with me. She's a criminal defense lawyer. She is based in Toronto. You've certainly been watching these events unfold, and you're watching along with us here in our newsroom and, of course, all of our viewers at home. That process of bringing an accused from the holding cell up to court, what's the security like, and what's the, what happens?
So he'll be brought up from the bowels of the courthouse with 2 or more court security officers that work with the Toronto Police Service. They will bring him up through the elevator system and down. There's a very long hallway that's adjacent to Court 6-1 that the regular personnel don't enter. It's reserved for court personnel and defendants. He will enter into the court through there. It can take about 10 minutes.
Will he be handcuffed, shackled? What's the situation?
In the normal course, the answer to that is yes. When jury trials are conducted, most often the shackles are removed. So juries, when they are determining guilt or innocence, don't see the shackles. But when he is brought physically into the courtroom, he will most undoubtedly be shackled at the feet and at the hands. And so it's a slow shuffle.
It's a slow shuffle in, and then sit in a secure booth or sit at the defense table?
I would believe in this case he'll be sitting in the secure booth.
All right. Inside the courtroom, if that is full, the justice is obviously going to ask first what? First for the lawyer, is there a plea, or will the justice speak directly to the person who is accused?
The first thing that will occur is that the lead Crown attorney will stand up and introduce himself to Justice McMahon.
Just going to jump in, Karen, because you mentioned it does take some time. Well, that shuffle has happened. Bruce McArthur is now in court, so that's the word we're getting from our colleagues inside that courtroom. Apparently his head is shaved, his beard is also shaved, looking shaken and hunched over, and apparently looking, from the words of my colleague inside that courtroom, looking older than his 67 years of age. So you know that Bruce McArthur is facing 8 counts of first-degree murder. He has been imprisoned, and today was supposed to be that court appearance, which it is. So head shaven, face shaven, in the courtroom right now. We'll certainly be listening for what comes out of that courtroom. Let me set the lay of the land for you. We've got reporters outside of the courthouse who can give us a sense of what the reaction is as soon as we know what's happening inside. We've got Karen McArthur, who is a criminal defense lawyer, right here in studio to help us to understand the process and what is at stake here when it comes to pleas. We have heard from the police. They expected, yesterday they said a significant development. Today we're hearing they expect Bruce McArthur to plead guilty. Now, we do know he is charged with 8 counts. The question is, will he plead guilty to all of those 8 counts? I want to continue my conversation with Karen. In that courtroom, you mentioned the judge will address whom? Sorry, Karen, I don't mean to be rude, but we are hearing that Bruce McArthur, and this is breaking news, Bruce McArthur will enter a guilty plea on all 8 counts. So if you are just joining us, that is the breaking news coming from Toronto. Bruce McArthur is pleading guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder. That is an automatic life sentence. So we will certainly be watching for reaction from Toronto's gay community, reaction from the lawyers who are involved on both sides of this case. Bruce McArthur, who is 67 years old, is pleading guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder. The accusations came from police that Bruce McArthur preyed on men who disappeared from Toronto's gay village between 2010 and 2017. You're looking at pictures of Bruce McArthur right now. Inside the courtroom does not look like the same man. We've got colleagues inside the courtroom who say Bruce McArthur, when he arrived shackled into that courtroom to put that plea of guilty in, that his head was shaved, that his face was shaved, that he was hunched over, looking in fact older than his 67 years of age. Now, last year, he waived his right to a preliminary hearing. He opted to go straight to trial. That trial had been set for a year from now, January of 2020. So with this plea of guilty on 8 counts, it looks like there will not be a trial in Toronto for Bruce McArthur. I've got Karen McArthur, no relation, by the way. She is a criminal defense lawyer, and she is right here giving us, you know, the lay of the land, if you will. What does this mean in the case now that Bruce McArthur, we know, is pleading guilty to all of those 8 counts of first-degree murder?
It means a big sigh of relief for Canada, Toronto, and the family members that lost their loved ones, and for the gay village to know they can sleep now knowing that the serial killer has admitted guilt and is off the streets for the rest of his life. It's concluding, and we save a significant amount of trial time. Now,
he has just said that he is pleading guilty voluntarily to these charges, that he is giving up knowingly the right to a trial. That trial would have taken 3 to 4 months, is what we had heard when it was set.
Potentially even longer, because of the great amount of forensic evidence that was involved in this case.
So saving not only the emotions, I suppose, but money for the city.
Huge money, because it comes out of the public coffers. That's how you keep the lights on in the courtroom. That's how you pay the judges. That's how you pay the Crown Attorney and the court reporters. So huge savings.
What would have been the discussions prior to this? So just for, I want to bring our viewers up to date here on CBC News Network. This is breaking news we are tracking for you. You know the name Bruce McArthur, certainly if you live in Toronto, but across the country as well. He was an alleged serial killer of 8 counts of first-degree murder. He has now, today, minutes ago, pleaded guilty to all 8 counts of first-degree murder. He says he knowingly waives his right to a trial, and he is voluntarily pleading guilty. So that's the news we are tracking right now. I've got Karen McArthur here in studio with me, who says that in this city there is a sigh of relief. There will be a lot of money saved from the public purse in this guilty plea from Bruce McArthur. But the emotions of this story will certainly continue and weigh very heavily. The victims' names right now in court are being read out. You could probably hear a pin drop inside that courtroom. What's going through people's minds right now? I mean, for a lawyer who's been in that situation, what's the feeling in a courtroom when somebody comes in and does plead guilty?
There is a feeling of relief and yet revulsion. And pain, real human pain, because you cannot step away from the reality that human beings died at the hands of the person before the court. And it's a bewildering place to be. It's a bewildering process as we try to hammer these things out. So both the Crown Attorney, the police, the defense lawyer, and the judge, they all are going through these feelings. I've been in that situation myself when I've had a defendant plead guilty to the death of a human being. It's a difficult place to be, and yet at the same time, as you're part of the process, if you're arriving at an appropriate solution for the justice system and the public, collectively, you feel that you're doing good. The victims, who will be 1 or 2 rows behind Bruce McArthur, their hearts will be a bit lighter. I bet you they will feel as if they're just operating in a cloud right now, because they probably have this real sense of disbelief. Is this moment actually occurring? They've been steeling themselves with courage to get through this, expecting to have a trial in January of 2020, and then just out of the blue, this has occurred, and it's coming to conclusion. So it's an odd space for them to be in mentally and emotionally, but I'm sure they're relieved.
It certainly sounds like an incredible story that perhaps now has an ending. If the word closure can't be used, the story for them perhaps has ended. But I want to thank you, Karen, for your insight.